How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just want to come on here for a while and give my review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite from last night, which was June 26th, 2021. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match one, it was Hangman Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs. That was a great match. But the ending to it, Hangman Page went over with the dead eye. Match 2, it was Matt Sydal versus Dante Martin. That was a great match. But the ending to it, Matt Sydal went over with the lightning spiral. Well, before the match, after Dante Martin came out, Vicky Guerrero came out with her "excuse me" catchphrase, and Vicky Guerrero introduced Andrade El Idolo. So Andrade El Idolo came out, and Vicky Guerrero made Vicky Guerrero was getting ready to make an announcement. Vicky Guerrero Vicky Guerrero and Andrade El Idolo were getting ready to make an announcement, but Matt Sydal, along with his brother Mike Sydal, came out, and Andrade El Idolo was getting ready to attack Matt Sydal, but Vicky Guerrero held Andrade El Idolo back and everything. And that before the match between Matt Sydal versus Dante Martin and everything, which that was cool. Match 3, it was Ethan Page versus Bear Bronson. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Ethan Page went over with the Ego's Edge. But after the match, Ethan Page got on the microphone and cut a promo saying that last week pinning Darby Allin wasn't enough. But Ethan Page also said that he wants to end Darby Allin once and for all, and Ethan Page challenged Darby Allin to a coffin match on July 7th on AEW Dynamite's Road Rager. That was cool. Match 4, it was Chris Statlander versus The Bunny. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Chris Statlander went over with the Big Bang Theory. Well, after the match, as Orange Cassidy was raising Chris Statlander's hand in victory, the Blade attacked Orange Cassidy. The Blade knocked Orange Cassidy into Chris Statlander, and Chris Statlander fell out of the ring. Well, Orange Cassidy attacked the Blade, beating the shit out of him, and the Hybrid 2, which are Angelico and Jack Evans, came out, and Angelico and Jack Evans ganged up on Orange Cassidy, beating the shit out of him, and Angelico done an Irish whip to Orange Cassidy into Jack Evans, and Jack Evans attacked Orange Cassidy with a roundhouse kick, with a martial arts like kick, and Angelico and Jack Evans held Orange Cassidy down, and the Blade took the brass knuckles out of Orange Cassidy's pants, and while Angelico and Jack Evans held Orange Cassidy down, the Blade attacked Orange Cassidy. The Blade punched Orange Cassidy in the face with the brass knuckles. So the Blade, the Bunny, Angelico, and Jack Evans stood tall, which that was cool. And match 5, which was the main event, it was Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy for the AEW title. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Kenny Omega went over and retained the AEW title with the One-Winged Angel. Well, after the match, Kenny Omega was getting ready to attack Jungle Boy with the AEW title, but Christian Cage came out and attacked Kenny Omega and beat the shit out of him, and Kenny Omega went out of the ring. And the Hardy family office, which are Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, and Isaiah Cassidy, all came into the ring, and Christian Cage beat the shit out of Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy, and Matt Hardy attacked Christian Cage with a clothesline, and Matt Hardy was getting ready to execute the twist of fate to Christian Cage, but Christian Cage countered it and was getting ready to execute the kill switch, but the Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson, came out, and Matt Hardy shoved Christian Cage out of the way, and Matt Hardy shoved Christian Cage into the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks executed a double super kick to Christian Cage, laying him out. Well, Kenny Omega came into the ring, and Matt Hardy executed the twist of fate to Christian Cage. So as Jungle Boy and as Christian Cage and Jungle Boy were laid out, the Elite, which are Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, and the Hardy family office, which are Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, and Isaiah Cassidy, stood tall, which that was cool. Now, besides the matches, Alex Marvez interviewed Sammy Guevara, and Alex Marvez was pretty much asking Sammy Guevara about his match against MJF next week on Wednesday night on AEW Dynamite. Well, Sammy Guevara was getting ready to speak, but Sean Spears attacked Sammy Guevara from behind with a steel chair, and Sean Spears was saying, well, look at that. And Sean Spears was saying, I told you I was going to get you. Yeah, well, Sean Spears, after he attacked Sammy Guevara with a steel chair, Sean Spears was saying that he knew he was going to get Sammy Guevara and everything, which that was cool. AEW aired a video package of the build-up leading to the match between Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy for the AEW title, which that was cool. The Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson and Brandon Cutler, cut a promo, and the Young Bucks were talking about how they took out Ray Phoenix, how they took out Pac, and how they took out John Moxley, and they were pretty much, and the Young Bucks also challenged Pena El Cerro Miedo and Eddie Kingston to a match next week, and if Pena El Cerro Miedo and Eddie Kingston win, they'll get a shot at the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team titles. Well, Brandon Cutler was going to speak, but Nick Jackson cut Brandon Cutler off every chance he got, and Matt Jackson was talking about how the Young Bucks were going to beat Penta El Cerro Miedo and Eddie Kingston because they weren't a real tag team and they were the EVPs, extremely violent people and everything. Well, Brandon Cutler made a comment saying that saying about how the Young Bucks were going to take out Penta El Cerro Miedo and Eddie Kingston like gourmet chicken or whatever, and the Young Bucks approved of it and everything. But yeah, the Young Bucks were pretty much talking shit about Penta El Cerro Miedo and Eddie Kingston and everything, which that was cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed Tully Blanchard and Conan, and well, Tony Schiavone and Tully Blanchard were already in the ring, but Conan came out and pretty much it was an in-ring interview. Well, Conan got on the microphone first and was talking about how he was a father to Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, and how Santana and Ortiz grew up on the streets and everything. And Tully Blanchard was talking about how Conan was talking about how Santana and how Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, grew up on the streets and had a rough upbringing, and how he was a father figure to them and everything, and talked about how FTR thinks that they grew up in a bad upbringing and everything, saying about Santana and Ortiz not growing up like FTR, like, and everything. And Tully Blanchard was talking about how FTR were going to beat the shit out of Proud and Powerful and everything. And Conan was getting ready to have Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, came out, and there was two masked men that came out and thinking that it was Santana and Ortiz, but Tully, because Conan signaled for Santana and Ortiz, Proud and Powerful. Conan signaled for Proud and Powerful, which are Santana and Ortiz, and the two masked men who everyone thought it was Santana and Ortiz came out. Tully Blanchard informed Conan to look, Tully Blanchard told Conan to look at the Titantron. So Conan looked up at the Titantron, and it showed that Santana and Ortiz were laid out. So the two masked men attacked. Well, the two masked men were revealed to be FTR, which are Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. Well, Dax Harwood attacked. Dax Harwood attacked Conan from behind, and Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler done the Mindbreaker to Conan, while Tully Blanchard, FTR executed the Mindbreaker to Conan, while Tully Blanchard was on the microphone talking shit and everything. And Tully Blanchard and FTR stood tall while Conan was laid out and everything, which that was cool. Jungle Boy cut a promo, and before Jungle Boy got the chance to talk, Christian Cage appeared, and Christian Cage was pretty much wishing Jungle Boy good luck in his match against Kenny Omega for the AEW title and everything. And Christian Cage ended up leaving after giving Jungle Boy some advice, about his title AEW title match against Kenny Omega, and Christian Cage left and everything, and Jungle Boy thanked Christian Cage and everything as well, which that was cool. Um, um, let me see. Um, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling cut a promo, and um, Mark Sterling was talking about how him and Jade Cargill made a deal for AEWshop.com to get both of Jade Cargill's shirts 10% off and everything, and Jade Cargill uh, was saying to go to use the promo code that bitch and everything, and Jade Cargill was talking about how Jade Cargill ended the promo saying I'm that bitch and everything, which that was cool. Alex Marvez interviewed The Pinnacle, which are MJF, Wardlow, and Shawn Spears, and Alex Marvez was asking MJF about his match against Sammy Guevara next week on AEW Dynamite, but MJF cut Alex Marvez off and was pretty much being the cocky heel that he is, and was saying that, talking about how that attack from Shawn Spears on Sammy Guevara was great and everything, and MJF was also talking about how Dean Malenko has heart issues and Parkinson's disease, and how how fans were upset that he beat the shit out of Dean Malenko last week on AEW Dynamite, but was saying that the fans should be lucky that he put him into retirement instead of him. MJF was talking about how he done something the fans didn't do, and that was put Dean Malenko into retirement and everything. Well, Chris Jericho and Jake Hager appeared and attacked MJF, Wardlow, and Shawn Spears, and the brawl ended up going out to the ring. And the numbers game was too much because Chris Jericho and Jake Hager had the offense in, but MJF, Wardlow, and Shawn Spears ended up having the advantage and beat the shit out of Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, and MJF and Wardlow held Chris Jericho down while Jake Hager was laid out, and Shawn Spears was getting ready to attack Chris Jericho's arm with a steel chair, but Sammy Guevara came out. Wardlow tried to attack Sammy Guevara, but Sammy Guevara dodged the attack and done a kick to the face to Wardlow, and then Sammy Guevara tackled Shawn Spears down and beat the shit out of him, and Wardlow tried to attack Sammy Guevara, but Sammy Guevara got out of it, and Sammy Guevara attacked Wardlow with a steel chair, knocking him out of the ring, and then Sammy Guevara attacked Shawn Spears with a steel chair, but MJF was getting ready to be attacked with the steel chair, but Sammy Guevara was getting ready to attack MJF with a steel chair, but MJF retreated. And as MJF, Wardlow, and Shawn Spears retreated, Sammy Guevara got the microphone and was talking about how he was going to kick MJF's ass next week on AEW Dynamite and everything. And Chris Jericho and Jake Hager stood tall with Sammy Guevara and everything as well, which that was cool. Miro cut a promo saying how he thanked God for making him powerful and making his hot wife flexible, and talked about how he was going to beat the shit out of Brian Pillman Jr. next week on AEW Dynamite and retain the AEW TNT title and everything, which that was cool. Britt Baker and Rebel cut a promo talking about how if she had one wish, and well, Britt Baker and Rebel cut a promo, and Britt Baker was talking about how if she had one wish from Tony Khan, she would get a boat, and she'd get a football field, and Rebel said she'd get a yacht, and Britt Baker was saying she would get pretty much anything, but Vicky Guerrero wanted a wrestling match, and Britt Baker was talking about how her and Rebel were going to beat the shit out of Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero next week, and how Vicky Guerrero needed to stay out of the ring because she was old, and Britt Baker was going to beat the shit out of her so bad that she was going to end up writing her a prescription signed by her, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and everything, and which that was cool, and after that, Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero cut a promo, and Vicky Guerrero talked about how her and Nyla Rose were going to beat the shit out of Britt Baker and Rebel next week on AEW Dynamite, and how and made the announcement that it was going to be Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Title on Night 2 of Fyter Fest, and everything, and Nyla Rose was saying that that Britt Baker signed her own death warrant facing the Native Beast, and not only does she have to worry about the Native Beast, but she'll also have to worry about the claws of the cougar and everything, which that was cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed QT Marshall, and Tony Schiavone was pretty much asking QT Marshall about Brock Anderson's debut next week and everything. His debut. Tony Schiavone interviewed QT Marshall, and Tony Schiavone was pretty much talking about Brock Anderson's debut last week on AEW Dynamite and everything, and QT Marshall was talking about how that was a touching moment because of Arn Anderson being Brock Anderson's daddy and everything, and talked about how Cody Rhodes, how he was hoping that Cody Rhodes would be out some more and everything, and Tony Schiavone brought up that Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall will be going at it against each other in a South Beach strap match on July 7th on AEW Dynamite Road Rager and everything, and QT Marshall was talking shit about Cody Rhodes and everything, which that was cool. Brian Pillman Jr. cut a promo saying about how Miro talks about being a man of God, and talked about how Miro was a bull, how Miro was a bully and everything, and Brian Pillman Jr. was talking about how he was going to kick Miro's ass and take the AEW TNT title and everything, which that was cool. And Eddie Kingston, Pena El Cerro Miedo, and Alex Abrahantes cut a promo, and Eddie Kingston was talking about how the Young Bucks were gloating on about how they took out Ray Phoenix, how they took out Pac, and how they took out John Moxley, but was saying that they took him out in the ring, not real life like he did. And then Eddie Kingston was talking about how him and his best friend, Penta El Cerro Miedo, were going to take out the Young Bucks next week and then get their shot at the AEW tag team titles and everything. And Penta El Cerro Miedo translated something in Spanish, and Alex Abrahantes repeated what Penta El Cerro Miedo said, and Alex Abrahantes, not Alex Marvez, Alex Abrahantes. Well, Alex Abrahantes, after Penta El Cerro Miedo cut his promo, Alex Abrahantes said, Penta says, the Young Bucks, we've been down a rough road, but next week, him and his best friend, Eddie Kingston, we're going to take you all out and take your tag team titles and everything. And Penta El Cerro Miedo ended the promo saying that him and Eddie Kingston were going to destroy the Young Bucks because he is Penta El Cerro Miedo and he has Cerro Miedo, no fear, and everything, which that was cool. Now, besides all that, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. Taz done guest commentary along with Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur during the match between Hangman Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Taz done great on guest commentary. And Don Callis done guest commentary along with Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur during the match between Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy for the AEW title. Don Callis done great on guest commentary. Now, the referees for the event were Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Aubrey Edwards. Okay. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Hangman Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Rick Knox refereed the match between Matt Sydal versus Dante Martin. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Ethan Page versus Bear Bronson. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Chris Statlander versus The Bunny. And Paul Turner refereed the match between Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy for the AEW title. All the referees done awesome as usual. Now, the match card for next week's... The match card for Wednesday night's episode of All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite, so far that's been announced, it's going to be Miro versus Brian Pillman Jr. for the AEW TNT title. MJF versus Sammy Guevara. The Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson versus Penta El Cerro Miedo and Eddie Kingston. And Britt Baker and Rebel versus Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero. So, the match card for Wednesday night's episode of AEW Dynamite looks like it's going to be awesome, on Wednesday night and everything. I'm looking forward to it and everything as well. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite from last night, which was June 26th, 2021. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road. Peace out.